Strange memories on this nervous night in Las Vegas. 5 years later, 6, seems like a lifetime, or at least a main era. That kind of peak that never comes again. San Francisco in the middle 60s was a very special time and place to be a part of. Maybe it meant something, maybe not in the long run. But no explanation, no mix of words or music or memories can touch that sense of knowing that you were there and alive in that corner of time and the world, whatever it meant. History's hard to know because of all the hired bullshit, but even without being sure of history, it seems entirely reasonable to think that every now and then the energy of a whole generation comes to a head in a long, fine flash, for reasons that nobody really understands at the time, and which never explain, in retrospect, what actually happened. My central memory of that time seems to hang on 1 or 5 or maybe 40 nights, or very early mornings, when I left the Fillmore half crazy and, instead of going home, aimed the big 650 Lightning across the Bay Bridge at 100 miles an hour, wearing LL Bean shorts and a boot sheepherder's jacket, booming through the Treasure Island Tunnel at the lights of Oakland and Berkeley and Richmond, not quite sure which turnoff to take. And when I got to the other end, always stalling at the toll gate, too twisted to find neutral while I fumbled for change, but being absolutely certain that no matter which way I went, I would come to a place where people were just as high and wild as I was. No doubt at all about that. There was madness in any direction, at any hour. If not across the bay, then up the Golden Gate, or down 101 to Los Altos, or La Honda. You could strike sparks anywhere. There was a fantastic universal sense that whatever we were doing was right, and that we were winning. And that, I think, was the handle. That sense of inevitable victory over the forces of old and evil. Not in any mean or military sense. We didn't need that. Our energy would simply prevail. There was no point in fighting on our side or theirs. We had all the momentum. We were riding the crest of a high and beautiful wave. So now, less than 5 years later, you can go up on a steep hill in Las Vegas and look west. And with the right kind of eyes, you can almost see the high water mark, that place where the wave finally broke and rolled back. Alright, there was a reason for all that bullshit. Just a little excerpt out of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, probably the most famous passage in the book. Probably even more famous than the opening. And I did that for a reason, of course. Finally have a beer off of my personal bucket list. Gonzo Imperial Porter from Flying Dog. Flying Dog, of course, was established by a friend of Hunter S. Thompson's, one of my favorite writers of all time, and the artwork on the bottle labels is done by Ralph Steadman, who did the artwork for all of Hunter's articles and books. So here we got a skull-faced Hunter on there saying, "Let's party." And they have a quote from Hunter S. Thompson on here saying, "It never got weird enough for me." And this is an Imperial Porter, of course. Vintage 12GG, I assume that means vintage 2012. 9.2% alcohol by volume. So let's get into it. I'm very excited to try this one. And this was sent to me, of course, by Average Joe 716. Big thanks to him. Alright. Pouring out pretty dark brown by the looks of things. Nice head on there. Got some legs on the glass there. Nice foamy tan head. Oh, she's pretty dark right through. Don't see any real highlights at all. Cool. So, cheers, guys. Let's get right to the aroma here. Wow. It's got a very fruity aroma for an Imperial Porter. It's almost got a like a Christmas fruitcake kind of aroma going on there. Getting a little bit of chocolate and coffee in the back. I've had this sitting for a while, so it should have warmed up sufficiently. Not getting any alcohol. Yeah, it's got a very strong, like, dark fruit kind of thing, like some sort of dark berry, some sort of red berry. And it's like the chocolate and coffee notes that you usually would expect from this are just very much in the background. Sort of lifting it up a bit. A little bit of roastiness coming out now. That smells very good. Does not smell quite traditionally like a porter, like one would expect, but man, it smells fucking great. Alright, I'm going to go right to the taste. Cheers. Oh, wow. That is very dry and roasty at the end. Like, I've had some dry and roasty porters and stouts that, you know, the finish really dry and roasty, but this one really, it's got a real punch to it, man. Up front's got more of that sweetness, some sort of dark fruit sweetness, a little bit of coffee, espresso, chocolate not so much. I think I'm getting a little bit of chocolate on there, but it's mostly just like bitter baker's chocolate. It's got a medium mouthfeel to it, upper medium I'd say, approaching thick. Fuck. I've had a lot of really good, big, strong, dark beers tonight. For those not following, I already did the Great Divide Yeti and the Founder's Breakfast Stout tonight, so I'm finishing off with quite a winner too. Very dry in the end. Very, very lingering dryness. Sucking on an ashtray or something. That's great. That's an excellent porter. Maybe not as complex as one might expect, but that's not really a slight on this. Like, porters don't need to be complex, even when they're Imperials. It's got enough going on for it that its heads above a lot of porters I've had. Maybe it's not as balanced in the sweetness as it is with the roastiness in the end or whatever, but I'm not going to really fault it for that, because what is there is like really, really awesome. Wow, I gotta drink on this just a little bit more. Just bear with me. I know with the opening speech and shit, this is probably going on maybe 9 minutes by now, but fuck it. If you don't like it, just turn off the video, whatever. Yeah, that's excellent. I'm gonna go 4.5 out of 5 on Gonzo Imperial Porter. This is another one of those beers that gets one of those digital blowjobs on Rate Beer and all those places. It's only like, I think it's only like considered like slightly a couple notches below like KBS and just the regular breakfast stout, things like that. But this is actually really, really good. It's not an Imperial Stout, it's an Imperial Porter, so you got to keep that in mind. There are some differences. It's not everything I'd want in an Imperial Porter, but what is there is freaking awesome. And I'm going to say 4.5 out of 5. It's a really excellent beer. And no, my love for Hunter Thompson is not swaying my views here, in case some of you people might think that. I still went to this beer to analyze it purely from an totally objective stance. And this is just what I'm tasting. This is what I think of this beer. I'm actually just happy to report that it wasn't a disappointment because, one of my favorite authors of all time, a beer I've wanted to try for so long, and it's lived up to my expectations. And 4.5 out of 5. Flying Dog, Gonzo Imperial Porter. Right up my alley, boys and girls. Remember, don't take any guff from them swine, and we'll see you guys later. Cheers.